Hi, Jodie. It's lovely to have you here, and hello, everyone who's joining us. Today, I've really think I've hit the jackpot in having Jodie here to talk to us about smart nutrition for ADHD. So, welcome, Jodie.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Caroline. It was really lovely to meet you not that long ago,
Mm.
actually. And I think we made this wonderful connection pretty fast.
Yeah.
So thank you for having me today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for being here. So, you, of course, are the owner of Cherish Natural Health, a
That's right.
naturopath. Um, what I really want to know about, before we get into the juicy questions, we want some lovely understanding about you and what is the problem you're most passionate about solving, or the impact that most drives you to make through your work.
Yeah. Yeah. I love these questions that you've sort of put forward to me because they stop you and make you actually really think about, why am I doing this? Like, what's going
Mm,
on? Like, yeah, my passion really is about bridging the gap between um, conventional medicine, I suppose, and what we can do in our own home. Like, how do we look after ourselves? And we know that there's a massive percentage of what we do each day, each and every day, from our thoughts, from our habits, from all the things um, that influence our health and how we show up each day. And relying on the medical system it's important, but we can't rely on it entirely. We've got to take charge of our own health. So bridging that gap and making it, putting it in a way so that it's easy and doable for people. So it's sustainable, basically. Yeah,
yeah,
it can be a tricky bridge to cross for people because there's so much information out there. It's really confusing. It gets
yeah,
overwhelming when we're looking at it all. So, yeah, just bridging the gap, I think.
yeah. And I love that visual of a bridge, and the
Right,
bridge between um, where we are and where we're going, and creating that bridge, with the things that we do, that we are in control of, and that we can make that easy. I love it. That's
right, yeah. And
yeah,
we're in control of so much of it, yeah.
yeah.
But a
Even
lot of
though we
it's
don't feel
misguided.
like
So
it.
yeah, I know. Well, exactly, because there's so much information, it gets confusing. Who are we listening to? What are we doing? What about this? What about that? It's like if we
Mm,
just have the bridge and we can walk across as
yeah,
we need to, and close down a lot of the noise, a lot of
mm,
the distractions and the noise that actually take us off track to fundamentally what we need to be doing to nourish our bodies. Yeah.
absolutely. So, looking back on your career, what was a pivotal moment or key experience that set you on this path, to being a naturopath?
Yeah, goes back a long way. The pivotal moments I've had a lifetime in the health industry to some capacity, but my pivotal moment was really back in 2014. I lost my sister to breast cancer. She was 47 and left behind two little boys, and that really gave me a jolt in that, Jodie, you need to step up and be an advocate for people because when we're not in the right headspace, or we're not, there's so much information and we get that overwhelm. It's hard to make decisions that are going to be beneficial to us in the long term. And I saw this play out, and it touched me really deeply. But way back, my journey, way back, in my high school years, I was actually selected to be part of the WACE Western Australian Institute of Sport first junior rowing team.
Wow.
And through that process of being in elite sport and having to really get to know my body at quite a young age, really, um, and look after myself at a high performing level, really kick-started my love of the human body. love of nourishment, love of, energy creation, and really diving deep into how the body works.
Mm.
So it started a long time back, my passion. And when I left school, I didn't think I was smart enough to be a naturopath. I thought, no, that's too hard for me. So I ended up going to Curtin University. I did dental therapy, so I've got a lot of knowledge then around oral hygiene and how that then impacts the rest of our health, from our gut health to our cardiovascular system to our brain function, and it sort of escalated from there. So I've been a lifelong learner of the beautiful body that we are blessed to live in. And when you see someone that you love impacted so drastically in ill health, yeah, I think, you know, the knowledge that I've accumulated had to be used. I can't hide it under a bush any longer. It's got to be out there so others can benefit. So I'm being able to blend all of the things that I've learned over the years into one modality that I can say, hey, like, let's do this, and make it personalized to people. Yeah,
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, what really heartfelt story, and so sorry you've had to had that experience, but I'm also reflecting on a beautiful perspective, this gift, an opportunity you've created from going through that very challenging and you know, heart hurting time. And I know it's not unusual, unfortunately, that,
right, yeah,
these moments, they're there for us to either choose to make a gift and an opportunity out of them, or be washed over by them.
yeah. You're right.
Mm.
Yeah, like, things happen for a reason, and yes, some of it really sucks. It's not nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to take the lesson out of the situation and put it to use, like, our experiences are so valuable, and we're
Yes.
here to share. We're human beings. We're here to share with each other, and share what we know, what we love, the hurts and the wins, all of the things. And it's through experience that we grow, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. So, um, what kind of training and unique skills have been most valuable in serving your
Oh, yeah.
clients now?
Yeah, this was a great question, because there's so many, and I'm like, oh my God, I've got this toolbox of goodies. But I suppose the biggest one, when I was really thinking about what it is that I do and how I serve my clients, if someone walks through the door, then one of the biggest tools that I use is pathology,
Mm.
having blood pathology. If not blood pathology, we can also have other functional medicine testing, like hair analysis, or even stool analysis, that sort of thing. But being able to have the skill to see someone in front of you and decode all of the little messages that the body's sending, and to piece it all back together in a way that's going to be practical and functional for that person.
Mm.
And there's no one size fits all. Like, everyone is so unique, right? So when they come in, you could line up 100 women, and I'm going to have 100 different blood results. I'm going
Mm.
to have 100 different types of symptoms, and 100 different types of lived experiences. And to be able to collect all that and put it
Yeah.
into a way that go, here, okay, let's make this sustainable for you. It,
Mm.
it's a it, it is a little bit of a gift to do that. Um, and I do recognize that, but I certainly work on it as well, because people can be complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, I
Yeah.
suppose, yeah, I think, our environment does impact us a lot as
Yeah.
well. And when I go back to pathology, it does show us a lot about what diet is like. It does point out nutritional deficiencies. We look through pathology through a different lens to the medical system. When we look at the pathology labs and we have bloods taken, and it goes to the pathology labs, that every pathology lab, their reference ranges might change a little bit, and they're based on the statistical average of the bloods that hit lab. And statistically, we know that the people who are getting blood tests done are sick people. What about the healthy ones? What's their reference range? And so when we look at pathology, we're not looking at just the normal range, because you can go into the doctor and say, look, I feel really bad. I've got this, and they'll turn to you and say, but your bloods are normal. You're
Yeah.
okay. And they walk away from the doctors still feeling really crappy and not knowing what to do or, who to turn to.
Yeah.
So we don't look at it for the normal range, we look at it for the optimal range. So we bring the reference ranges right back in and we're going, okay, we want them to be optimal. And if they're not, why not? And then we start to decode things. So it's a bit of a game, actually.
And
Actually,
that's so, so important to realize that. I work with mostly women of our age who have ADHD. They're obviously either in perimenopause or menopause, and they're going to their doctors with all these kinds of quite, challenging symptoms, and they're saying that, oh no, your bloods are normal.
yeah.
But
And
they're not taking the whole person and their ADHD into the story with that.
right.
So that's yeah, just opens up a whole different avenue of approach, I think, for those who are not getting what they need from the medical avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm.
really, we have to be our own strongest advocate for
Mm.
ourselves. So if we're not getting answers from our doctors, then we sort of need to go looking at other options as well. And which is one of the reasons why I absolutely love what I do, is because we go back to the foundational things that the body actually needs, and we need nourishment
Mm.
at a deep level. And if our body's not getting that, it's going to show up. And one of the first places it'll show up will be in the bloods.
Mm.
Um, and so we can get ahead of the game if we know what the optimal bloods should be, and we know that we're starting to get symptoms. We want to catch things before they progress into
Yeah.
something bigger, and so we can catch it early enough,
Mm.
which is a wonderful thing, because we can get rid of a lot of symptoms purely through sort of like rewinding a little bit, stepping back
Mm.
and say, right, let's.
Yeah.
And we always go back. What are the things that you do? Because everything you do each day is going to impact how your body feels internally. You've got your external environment, you've got your internal environment, and we want this clean. We want to keep our house clean so that we can function well, just like our own home, keep it organised and clean so we can function each day.
Yeah.
Same
That's
goes.
a whole nother subject.
Yeah, I know, right?
And a subject that I've worked in for many years. Yeah, and it is so,
Yeah,
yeah, and also not easy for
no,
those with ADHD to make
right.
all that happen. It's just
But
not.
isn't it a great analogy to think, well, if this is my external environment,
Yep.
what's going on in here? Like,
Mm.
if I've got symptoms, it's my body's way of crying out, hey, the room's dirty.
Yeah.
You need to put your stuff away. You
Yeah.
need to go do this. Like, the
Yeah.
symptoms mean something, but we don't understand the language of the body. We're
Mm.
never taught it. We're not
No.
taught. We're
Yeah.
taught to go to the doctor, and the doctor
Mm.
send us
Yeah.
away until we're normal. No, no, no. That's not what we want to hear. We want to actually know what we can do to
Mm.
keep our house clean, our internal
Yeah.
house clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, one fun last question before we get into the
Yeah.
real juicy stuff. What are you reading or listening to?
Oh, I love this one. Yeah. I had a bit of a giggle. I'm listening to it currently, and I read Dr. Bruce Lipton's book many years ago, and just recently I've picked it up and start flicking it through. Now, his book is called The Biology of Belief, and he speaks about how our thoughts, our emotions, and our environment shape our biology.
Wow.
So if our biochemistry, actually, this leads beautifully on from our conversation. Our biochemistry, our biology, is shaped by everything that we do each day. And it's not just wake up, have a shower, brush our teeth, feed ourselves, go to work. That's the superficial stuff. It does boil down to, when we wake up, what are we saying to ourselves? What's our internal dialogue? You
Mm.
know, every thought that we have sets off a chemical reaction in our body, and that's going to affect how we show up each day. So it's such an interesting book, a real bit of a deep dive. I think it aligns quite
Mm.
nicely with ADHD support, because it does sort of highlight how the stress responses in our body, which
Yeah,
can be quite inflammatory. It
yeah,
can drive a lot of overwhelm, or a lot of like gut issues, or
mm,
allergies, those sort of things. Yeah,
yeah.
so that's what I'm reading.
Fantastic. Yes, that does line up very well. And it
It
might be
does actually.
another time for another topic. So, um, I've got these questions come from my clients, my people who follow me, and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
So these are all from real people with
beautiful.
real challenges that they want to have solved. So I'm excited to ask these from that perspective.
Yeah,
So starting with a bit about, the ADHD experience, that a big part of it is there's a challenge with consistency, planning, organizing, just taking the first step on any task, um, losing a sense of time. Either time goes really fast and you miss, that opportunity to have that meal or whatever. Um, or it's so slow, you feel like you're in tar and you can't move at all.
yeah,
And then there's the sensory sensitivities and the sensory seeking. So the whole process of feeding oneself really becomes an executive function drain, right from going to the grocery store to buy the food we need, let alone deciding what it is before we go, to putting that food in our bodies. So, what approaches could reduce executive function drain while supporting a fueled body and brain?
yeah. Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
a lot.
So,
Sorry.
yeah, the really it's about breaking, the conversations I have with my clients, breaking everything down into little steps. And I'm sure you have these conversations with your
Mm,
clients as well. But from what happens inside my clinic, breaking things down into little steps and stacking them onto things that we're already doing. Um, but to have real clarity also around why it is that you're actually doing these things. If we've got a bit of an understanding as to the deeper why, then it becomes more important to us. Like, there's certain things through our day that are non-negotiable to us. Like, there's no way we're going to leave the house without going to the toilet or having a shower. Like, they're non-negotiable. We're definitely going to brush our teeth. We don't have to think about those things. They're non-negotiable to us. So when we get a bit of clarity on things related to nutrition or related to feeding ourselves, when we make them a non-negotiable, then they're easier. I find with my clients, it's easier for them to prioritize those things in their day. It's not just, oh, I've got to eat something. I'm not hungry. I'm not going to eat. I can't be bothered. Those things aren't priority when we speak to ourselves that way. So, a real deep appreciation as to what your body actually needs, and put it as a priority, because we take our body into the every room that we go into. Our body goes everywhere. So it's really our best friend, and should take a high priority in the things that we're doing. So just a little flick in the conversations I have, it's sort of a bit of a flick in the mindset, and
yeah.
reframe it a little bit. And so feeding ourselves isn't a chore, it's a priority. And when I feed myself well and I nourish my body well, then my body's going to perform way better for me than if I don't prioritize those things. And so then putting in those little steps so that you can manage it and help it build into a priority. So we tack it onto things that we're already doing.
Yeah.
So if you
We
get
call
up
it
in the
habit
morning,
stacking.
habit stacking, yeah, like
Yeah.
it's quite well known. Um, if if a non-negotiable for someone is to get up in the morning and get up and go straight to the kitchen and flick the kettle on, they're going to make themselves a cup of coffee, then I would be then saying, well, fine, get up, put the kettle on, like you're going to make yourself a cup of coffee, but before you drink that cup of coffee, you're going to have a glass of warm water. And in actual fact, we're going to put a little bit of apple cider vinegar in that water, and then you can have your coffee.
Mm,
And so we almost sneak little things in there that actually
mm,
make a difference. And having those tools, of course, to help take away the decision fatigue, like
yeah,
having meal templates and food lists, and how do we organise our pantry and remove things from our pantry that are temptations that are actually not going to be nourishing for the body, and simplify what's in there, simplify what's in the fridge, simplify your cooking techniques, simplify, you know, have a selection of your go-to meals so you don't have to think about it.
yeah,
It's just there. I don't have to think about it. I just grab that, put it in the fry pan, bang,
yeah.
bang, done.
It's so interesting, that one, because I've worked with a lot of people in my, 18 odd years as a professional organizer and organizing coach. They would spend a lot of time on meal organizing. And it's just quite interesting how I think I'm also an ex-chef. That was my first career. I was a chef.
For dinner.
I don't cook anymore at all. But anyway, that's another story. Um, but what was interesting, and looking at this from the nutrition point of view as well now, is that if you have the templates, you don't, who says you have to make a new fancy meal every single week?
Oh my God.
I mean,
That
and
would
even like
overwhelm me.
MasterChef and all those, they've sort of set this standard, which is totally unrealistic,
Totally. Yeah.
and even more unrealistic for someone struggling with their executive function to just even get the right groceries inside the house to make
Right.
a
Yeah.
decent meal. Um, so this whole expectation, you know, I'm not cooking, you know, to how everybody else does it. There's a lot of comparing, I find.
Yeah. A lot
Um,
of self-judgment.
yeah,
I hear from that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm yeah, pleased to hear, like, yeah, use a template. Don't think about it.
Yeah. And have that selection of your go-to meals that
Mm,
are just no-brainers. Like
yeah,
I know how to do them. They're so simple. Always go back to your stock standard foods that you know that are right for you, because not all healthy food is healthy for everyone. Some people
absolutely.
react to things. So
We'll
have
get to that in a minute.
have your list of foods that you know you can choose from. Have a meal template you know that you can work with, and just keep it simple.
Yeah,
Save the fancy recipes for your dinner date or whatever, like whatever you're planning.
do what I do. Go to a restaurant.
Yeah, let someone else
Way
wash
more
the
fun.
but take the all the noise out of it. Like
Mm,
feeding ourselves and nourishing our body is it's actually quite simple,
mm,
but we complicate it so much based on all the noise that we're hearing. Oh, I should be doing that. I should be doing that. Or look what they're doing. How come mine doesn't look that beautiful? Like I need to make my meal look more beautiful.
yeah.
But we just go back. Like if you're having a meal, like you've got your protein, your vegetables, your fats. If you want to change meals up and make them really exciting, you add your herbs and your spices and
Yeah.
little sauces and stuff to go with it, and it can actually be very simple to do that
Yeah.
without overwhelm. But
Yeah.
certainly have your stock standard ones, that your no-brainer ones, the ones you don't have to think about.
Mm.
When you are exhausted at the end of the day, you do have that decision fatigue kick in.
Well,
It
and
just,
your meds have run out at the end of the day.
yeah, right, yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
it does, the end of the day is probably the worst time
yeah,
for
yeah, I agree.
any person with ADHD to try and cook a meal. And it sort of leads me to another question. What are your thoughts on pre-preparing? Because, that is a strategy that I've worked with clients, is we find a different time in the day where they do want to cook for themselves, but this fatigue and decision fatigue is so bad at the end of the day because the meds are gone. They've put everything they've had into work. Um, so we choose a different time of day to start the meal preparation, or do batch kind of cooking.
Yeah,
that allows them to eat their own food, don't need to get, Uber Eats every dinner time and that sort of.
right.
What are your thoughts on those approaches?
Beautiful. Perfect. Beautiful. Yeah, so definitely preparing food ahead of time, because knowing that by the end of the day you won't want to do it.
Yeah.
So whatever works for the person, maybe a weekend preparation works for them, maybe a morning preparation works for them. Maybe as they're preparing breakfast, they can just get a little bit of food ready to cook. Don't need to cook anything, but just have it in your mind, like, okay, I've got these vegetables, I've got this protein, that's ready. It's sitting in a bowl in the fridge. All I have to do when I get home is take it out and use it. Um, the meal prepping part of it doesn't have to be meal prep a whole meal. It
Mm,
can be just maybe pre-cook something, or maybe weigh things out and have them in little containers. So it's
mm,
just a grab and go thing. Um, just I suppose doing steps ahead of yourself to minimize what you have to do when you're exhausted.
mm, mm.
Um, when I look at meal prepping, for those, maybe this goes off a little tangent, but for those that are have food allergies, or those that have um, different gut issues or different health issues, sometimes pre-cooking meals and freezing them and then bringing them out and defrosting them and re-cooking them is actually a problem for their digestion.
Ah,
So it's okay for some people, but not for everyone. So that
okay.
really depends then on what symptoms are going on. Um, for and having that balance between, is this sustainable to pre-cook a whole meal, even though some of my symptoms might be coming from that, or am I better off just chopping and preparing and cooking fresh?
Mm,
Because
mm,
fresh is best, really, at the end of
yeah.
the day. Um, and maybe having a balance between two, rather than always
Mm,
having food that's cooked, frozen, defrosted, recooked,
yeah, yeah.
which can upset the digestive system in some people.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, there is really a great need for much more research in the impact of diet on people with ADHD. But it's obvious from the research that we do have, it really clearly says there is no one size fits all, and which you've already, you know, explained to us at the start, even if you don't have ADHD.
Yeah.
Um, and there's so much complexity of factors for a lot of people with ADHD. And um, the evidence that there is does say a balanced diet can reduce ADHD symptoms. So, yeah, what are some ideas on creating a balanced diet for someone?
Yeah, I've got a lovely handout that I will share with you a bit later, Caroline, on how to
Well, I'll put
how
it
to
in the
balance the
notes,
meal.
everyone.
Yeah, how to balance meals. Keep it simple, but you do want a bit of everything on your plate. I say eat the rainbow as much as you can, and I do appreciate that some people have got the sensory um, and taste things to deal with, and that we don't want those sort of things to restrict the variety of food that we're eating, because our body requires all of the nutrients, not just some of them.
Mm,
So with the handy handout, it's simple. It's something that you can quite easily remember to do. When we're thinking about how we balance our plate, we want to have a certain amount of protein, vegetable components, and we want to have fat in our diet as well. We don't want to be limiting any of the food groups. Essentially, that's going to leave us deficient at some point
mm,
in our in the processes our body has to go through. Requires all the nutrition, not just pieces of it. So
mm,
when we're looking at the foods that we eat, there is a very big difference also between preferential eating and nutritional eating. So if someone says to me, well, I prefer to eat this way because of this, that's a preference, but what does your body actually need? So I prefer to um, eat raw foods because that's what I like, or I prefer to um, eat vegetarian, or I prefer to eat vegan, or I prefer to eat carnivore, or I prefer to eat, I prefer to fast. There's a lot of preferential stuff in there based on information that may not be relevant to your own body. So we go back to nourishment. We think, well, what does your body need to function properly? What nourishment does your body need?
Mm.
And when we get that right, then it's easy to actually balance the plate. So the handy handout I'm going to share with you, the protein portion really needs to be about the size of your palm.
Mhm.
So if you were to have some, maybe some fish or a piece of chicken, or whether it was maybe some of the pulses, maybe red lentils or things like that, you basically want to have a palm full of protein.
Mhm.
We want to have sort of like a cupped handful of vegetables.
Mhm.
That's going to vary, obviously, depending on the density of the vegetable, but
Mm.
it's basically like a good handful of vegetables. We want to have a thumb full of fat, healthy oil. So that might be coconut oil, olive oil, it might be ghee, butter. We want to stay away from inflammatory foods, the inflammatory oils like the vegetable oils and the canolas and things
Mm.
like that, which drive a lot of inflammation in our body.
Mm.
And we have the option to bring in grains, and we really just want a fistful of grains. So it's really just like a fistful. We don't want a plate full of rice. That's
Mm.
too much. So we just have a fistful of rice. So when you think, okay, how does my plate look? We've got this palm full of protein, we've got some vegetables, we've got, a fistful of grain, and we've got this nice thumbful of oil. And it
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
when you put it back to your hands, it's like, have I got everything? Oh yeah, okay, good. Yeah.
So that's a very easy, yeah,
Easy.
easy, simple way to sort of measure, and and that I could see would be much easier than weighing, and that would just my clients wouldn't
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that.
I think the weighing's actually probably that process is actually way easier than counting calories or counting
Yes,
macros or doing all these numbers. Like we shouldn't have to count our food, right?
yeah, yeah,
That's hard work, like trying to calculate everything. So weighing something out is an easy way of doing things. And when people do it for a little bit, they then get a really good
oh, I
visual
know.
of what that plate should look like. And they go, oh, but if you can't weigh it, then go back to, have I got
Yeah,
enough protein? Do I have enough veggies? Do I have,
yeah.
yeah. And you go back to the handy method.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. So, you've touched on a few things that a lot of my clients bring up, which is allergy, um, inflammatory reactions to a lot of foods,
Yeah.
and then the sensory challenges with a lot of foods. Just can't even put it in the mouth because it feels wrong. Just the texture
Yeah.
saying there's certain things I just will never eat because I just cannot handle the texture. Um, and so if there's things that are like that, that sort of does not enable us to have the whole scope of all the nutrients, what's your view on supplements? And can you get a supplement that sort of brings a whole heap of things together that does the job? So that it's a one-step process, not, 50 different steps, which is not advisable for anyone. Um, and yeah, then also the other really tricky one, is like, where do you get supplements from? Are supermarket supplements okay or not? Yeah, so it's quite a big bundle of information that needs to
Yeah,
be sorted.
supplement. Yeah, supplements. Um, well, and it's there's so much out there, right? Like, what do you choose? Which one's for you? Do you even need it? Which
Mm,
go back to blood pathology. Find out if you even need it. You might just be wasting your money.
mm,
Um, the the reason why you are reaching for supplements in the first place. Um, we don't necessarily, our body's not necessarily synthesizing some of these synthetic supplements. So think of it
mm.
that way. If it's made in a lab, can our body actually utilize it? Yeah. we can go to the supermarket and look through all the shelves and see all these beautifully packaged, bright coloured, inviting supplements. It's like, whoa, look at all the promises on these
Mm,
packets. They promise me this and they promise me that. Really, a lot of those supplements, they're being sold because it's a business. So again, we need to go back to, what does my body actually need? Does my body actually need all of these supplements? A lot of the time, we're looking, searching around on Google, and we're going, oh, this sounds good, or that's, look, this works for that person. This sounds good. That's going to help support these different areas of my body, without actually knowing what the body needs. So when it comes to supplements, from my perspective, I step back a little bit, which might sound really odd coming from a naturopath, right? But I do step back a little bit and say, let's hold off from the supplements for a little minute and let's get the food right. Because we can be piling on so many different supplements and really confusing and um, causing an imbalance in our body
mm,
based on ill prescribed supplements that the body doesn't actually need. So we have to be really careful with them. The supermarket ones, they're there to make money. A lot of those products, they're cheap, but they're also made cheap. They're synthetic. They're filled with a lot of fillers. Um, they're not necessarily, your body isn't necessarily going to be able to break those synthetic vitamins and minerals down. So be wary. I do find a lot of people will double up on their dosages with their supplements. So if you're buying them, you want to be very mindful. Has this one got B6 in it? Oh, this one's got B6 in it as well. Oh, this one's got B6. And all of a sudden, we've blown out
mm,
what is an okay dose for something like a B6. So we've got to be really mindful. What is the formula? Not the promise on the front of the package, but what's the formula of that product? And am I double dosing myself? And uh, am I having too much of something? Because that can actually drive a lot of symptoms. We've got to be really careful of that. Um, the the supplements themselves, you can get some really beautiful formulas, but again, I go back to, what is the purpose behind taking it? Does your body actually need it? Is the formula right for you? To have a multivitamin which has got all of these things, all of these beautiful things all packed into one, can sound really enticing, and for some people they're really good. I'll pop that one over there for a minute, because multivitamins can be good, but it depends on the quality of the product. Is your body able to break it down, or are you just peeing it out?
mm.
We also then, people will like to go for supplements that are just one thing. So they might
Yeah.
go for something that is just B12 and folate. Well, that's great. Maybe you do need B12 and folate, but maybe your body can't break down the synthetic form of it. And
Mm,
that goes back to methylation and how the body can actually methylate, which is like utilize these supplements. If your body can't do it, then it's going to be a problem for your body, and you may end up be making your symptoms worse,
mm,
particularly gut health symptoms. So we want to be really mindful that what we're choosing is a good product, that your body, it's bioavailable to your body can break it down, and
mm,
you actually need it.
mm. Yeah, that's
So
important. That yes, we're grabbing for these things as remedies, as hope, to
right,
feel better, but we're not actually starting at the start point, which is, do I actually need this?
right.
Yeah, where does it
And the
start?
information is wonderful, isn't it? It's like, oh, I don't have energy, oh, so I need this.
Mm,
But it's too, what it is when they market to you that way, they're marketing to one piece of the puzzle that is you.
yeah.
And one piece of the puzzle that is you, that might be, I have no energy, or I have brain fatigue.
Mm,
Oh, I have brain fatigue, so I'm going to need to have that particular supplement. It doesn't work that way,
yeah.
because you know, your body doesn't work in little compartments. It
Hmm.
works as a whole system. And that whole system has to be able to process these supplements that you're putting into it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so we've got to go back and think,
Yeah.
well, what is the problem? Why are you actually reaching for a supplement in the first place? And we
Mm,
go back to the food, we go back to the foundational health pillars and we start healing, so that the supplements, the quality supplements that you do then go for, your body can use, and
Mm-hmm.
they will actually work.
Yeah.
But if we're putting supplements in on an inflamed body and our gut isn't
Mm-hmm.
dealing with it, then we may well be making symptoms worse, or we're just wasting our time and money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
supplements, I love the
Good, good.
conversation.
No, that's good to, yeah, open that up. That's, yeah, really
Yeah,
interesting that
I,
things there I wasn't
I
aware of
suppose,
either.
yeah. I
Mm,
suppose some of the key supplements, if someone was to do a bit of a search and wanted to supplement, self-prescribe supplements, some of the things that we do look at are methylated B vitamins. We know our body needs the vitamin Bs. We can
yeah.
get a lot of that through our food. But again, is your body methylating these things? I
Mm,
have actually a little conversation, a bit of a segue about the methylation if you want to go down that path. And
yeah, sure.
the others, while I'm on it, the other things we do want to be looking at fatty acids. Our
Yeah.
body craves good quality oils, so we do
Mm,
want to know fatty acids. But some people are overdoing those fatty acids as well, and their body, again, it doesn't need to be overdosed. We've got to have the right dose. So where are you at? How much are we actually giving you? We've got to actually look closer at that.
yeah.
And how much can you get through your food so you don't have to buy the supplements? Is the big key thing there.
Mm,
Vitamin D. A lot of people will supplement vitamin D, but it's free in the sunshine.
yeah.
Vitamin sunshine, I like to call it. Like, get out there. Vitamin D itself is just a component of sunshine, and
Mm,
it has a lot more to do with in our body than just like bone health. And there's a lot of immunity, and it's just used for so many things, hormone production, all sorts of things.
wow.
Um,
Mm,
I suppose if someone was to look for something else on the shelf, good quality collagen powder's a good way to go too. It can
okay.
be quite gentle on the digestive system, and just get those extra amino acids into your body that are
Mm,
quite important. Yeah.
nice.
Um, the methylation, that's what I was going to. The
Yes.
methylation is basically how our body breaks down a lot of the biochemical how the biochemical processes in the body, and the methyl groups. It can get quite complicated, so I don't really want to get into too much detail, but it
There'll be
is about.
someone out there loving this, don't worry,
Oh,
but go for
I'm sure
it.
there is. Yeah, I probably don't give it justify the explanation at all, but methylation, it is about regulating our gene expression. It does go down to detoxification pathways. It does go down to the
Wow.
neurotransmitter synthesis, especially the dopamine, the
Mm,
norepinephrine, the serotonin.
which is highly important for
Yeah,
our ADHD.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The immune function, hormonal balance. There is research on methylation with ADHD,
Ah,
which is
I would love
interesting.
to
And
see.
I haven't dived deep into it, but I would love to put something together for you, Caroline, so you can
Mm,
read and perhaps have more conversations
yeah.
with your clients. Um, Epigenetic influence,
Yeah.
the DNA and the methylation. It is probably one of the most studied epigenetic markers in ADHD.
Wow.
It does explain it. It's beautifully. It just goes back to, even if you don't understand the methylation processes and all those things, go back to the environmental factors, because it's the environment that triggers the expression of the genes. So we go back to stress, nutrition, toxins in your life.
Mm,
These all influence how our genetic expression, influence our neurotransmitter regulation, and there's one of the gene variants is called the MTHFR, and that's an acronym. I'm not even going to try and say it. It's one of those words that are like this
yeah.
long. um, and it does help convert folate into an active form. So when we go back to supplements and we're like, oh, a lot of people are reaching for B12 and folate combination supplements. And if you're having that in a synthetic form through a supplement, you may actually not be processing it. And this goes back to this genetic SNP, this variation in the gene SNP, which they show is quite prevalent amongst the ADHD
Mm,
group. So, um, Yeah, the B12s and the folate is quite an important thing. But we do want to also look at, are we able to, have we got all the cofactors? With supplements, we might just be reaching for one, like B12 and folate, but within our body, our whole system needs to use the B12 folate, but it also needs to use that in um, alongside enough zinc and enough all the other minerals and things.
Mm,
If we're lacking in one thing, then the cycle's not complete. And we could be
right.
throwing in these supplements and loading one particular supplement out and throwing out the whole cycle, this methylation
Mm,
cycle.
right.
Yeah, another conversation. It goes quite deep,
Yeah.
but it's just like that's a little snippet, I suppose, of
Wow.
something
Yes.
to keep your ear open for because it is quite
Absolutely.
prevalent in the ADHD community.
Yeah. And I'm really, yeah, it's really interesting to me because some of the research I was doing on allergy and ADHD mentions a lot of those components as well. So yeah, there's so many
Moving parts. Yeah.
associated markers for both of these. So yeah, we probably need more conversations for sure.
We're
So
going down a rabbit hole. Maybe we've gone down that rabbit
we
hole.
maybe we've gone down. Oh well, as long as we have fun doing it, it's all good. So um, ADHD medications really commonly suppress appetite.
Right.
And when someone is not they really is not able to eat, enough, um, yeah, what kind of strategies could they look at to, boost their nutrition and their energy, if they can only eat very small amounts?
Yeah. I would say that what you do eat, make it worth it.
Mm,
Like the dense nutrition. If we're not hungry, but we're filling up on a biscuit or a cup of tea, that's not going to provide your body with what it needs. So
mm,
if you're not hungry and you do go to eat, make it worth it.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
for nutrient dense, something nutrient dense. Um,
Any of the sort of, because there's millions of those out there as well, just like the supplements, like the health bars and protein bars and things like that. Is that a good option or not?
I do try and steer people away from those
Mm,
things only because they're quite processed
mm,
and a lot of the ingredients are quite complicated. So
mm,
they can actually drive insulin resistance. They can drive inflammation in the body. They can upset guts. Um,
mm,
and uh, a lot of the products, I suppose, one of my key things would be if you're reaching for something, try and make it a whole food as opposed to something that's been made in a factory.
mm,
The products that are made in a factory, when we're looking at those packets, we might be looking at the nutritional panel and say, oh, it's got this much protein,
mm.
this much, you know,
Yeah, and low
energy.
sugar and all of that.
Yeah, all of those things. We don't actually need to know that. Go
Mm,
back to what that product is made of.
hmm
And you might notice that that product might be made of a lot of wheat, high sugar, industrialized oils. It might have a whole heap of numbers. What are they?
mm,
What about all those big long words that we can't even say?
mm,
Like there's so much complication in that. And that in itself can drive a lot of dysregulation in our gut, dysbiosis in our gut,
mm.
which then that on-flow effect goes to, everywhere. Like what what are we feeding ourselves and is it actually food? A lot
Yeah,
of those bars are not even food. They're just a
yeah.
collection of we go back to who's making this stuff and off we call them food scientists, and they're in
Mm,
the lab and they're creating these products to taste good, give us energy, but it's a fake energy. It's a
mm,
false energy, just like coffee is a false energy. It gives us this false energy, but it tastes good and I feel good when I eat it, but it's not actually doing us much favor at all. So I would say go back to whole foods and try and leave the products aside.
yeah.
Go back to have an apple as a snack. Go back to nuts and
Mm,
seeds as a snack. You know, we can make such simple meals to feed ourselves in a quick way if
Mm,
we're prepared, if we prepare ourselves nicely. So we could go
mm,
back to smoothies for breakfast, which are relatively easy to make a smoothie
yeah.
that would be based on, some good dairy products and some fruit. We can use nut butters and veggie
Mm,
sticks and
mm,
hummus dip and things like that, which
yeah.
easy to grab food
Yeah,
that
hummus dip is one of my sort of favorite suggestions for
yeah,
something that's quite, good
yeah.
in nutrition, has
Cheese
lots
on
of,
cracker, like,
yeah,
yeah, just some good
mm,
quality cheeses.
yeah,
So you've got your protein and you've got maybe you like the crunch, you
mm,
find what are those things that actually appeal to you and look for the dense nutrition rather than a quick fix,
mm, yeah,
offering promises that's filled with stuff that you don't even know what it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned something that has come up with clients' conversations around, uh, because the morning is when everyone takes their first dose of their medication, they need to take it with food. And it's advised not to have vitamin C high foods with your medication because it counteracts. And I've even had clients who are reporting to me that when they increase their protein in the morning, their medication has this lovely sustaining um, impact for them. I don't know how scientific that is, but that's just what they're reporting to me. So, um, some quick ideas that I've given to people is, boil enough eggs for a whole week and just peel the egg and eat it first thing in the morning. So you're not even cooking in the morning.
Right.
Um, but they would love a smoothie and that sort of thing, but they're very wary of
Okay.
including fruit. So if you had any ideas around that kind of um,
Yeah. Okay.
inclusion would be great.
Yeah. So some breakfast ideas
Mm.
that isn't around any of the fruits. Overnight oats can be really good. You just prepare it the night before and stick them in the fridge. You can do that with some good quality milk. Not everyone, a lot of people, in actual fact, need to avoid the cow dairy, but there are other options that we can use. Depending on the person, they might be able to use some soy milk. Some of the almond milks or the oat milks, they're not high enough in protein to really make an impact. But the soy milk would be acceptable. Goat milk can be like a lot of my clients love the goat milk, and
Awesome.
one of them that I actually spoke with the camel milk man the other week. Camel milk is amazing. Trying to find it can be difficult, but
Yeah.
camel milk is so easy for our body to digest, is a
Mm.
brilliant protein,
Wow.
and will have that lovely effect where it will just last. That synergistical effect, like this
Mm.
flow that will sustain people for longer than something that is a sugar driven
Yeah.
meal. So toast would not be sustainable.
Yeah.
You need some protein with that, something really, really good protein. So
Mm.
I would say, yeah, the a boiled egg, some cheese, some of the dairy. There's some great goat and sheep dairy yogurts about that you can get hold
Mm.
of, which I often recommend. A lot of the coconut yogurts would be okay, but their protein's not quite high
Uh-huh.
enough. But if
Yeah.
you had the coconut yogurt with additional proteins, maybe some chia seeds or things like that, just to up the protein amount.
Mm.
Um, I've got some lovely recipes. I could probably show you some recipes too, if you like,
Oh,
Carolyn. Just to
they're going to go home with a swag full of.
oh, yeah, some
Awesome.
beautiful recipe ideas. You can use tofu in the
Mm.
morning. For those that like to use the tofu, you can do scrambled tofu. It ends up a bit like scrambled eggs.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Nice.
yeah,
Oh, that's some, yeah, different ideas I hadn't thought of. That's,
cool.
yeah, really awesome. So, um, coming to some of the allergy stuff I was mentioning before,
Yeah,
there are these reported links between allergy and neurodevelopmental differences, such as ADHD, and immune dysregulation and inflammation are typical hallmarks of both.
Yes.
Um, so how can someone reduce the challenges of navigating allergens, and especially the inflammatory foods?
Right. I would say again, go back to the whole foods. Like a lot of
Mm,
the foods that are driving inflammation in our body. Think about how we eat. We put it in. It's got to go all the way down through our stomach acid, down into our gut. It has to be a whole food. Our body knows what to do with that.
mhm,
Our body doesn't know what to do with foods that are loaded in numbers and big long words. It's not a
mm,
food, so that in itself can actually upset our gut, inflame our gut, and drive some of these allergens. That would be one thing. Stick with the whole foods.
yeah.
Now, for women in our age bracket, when our estrogen's declining, our whole gut microbiome changes as well.
Mm,
And so we can find that we all of a sudden become really sensitive to foods that we were never sensitive
yeah.
to before. And we've got to understand, I suppose, that the microbiome in our gut has changed. We call it the estrobiome.
Mm,
and and that decline in estrogen also triggers it's got this relationship with histamines in our diet and sorry, histamine um, production in within our gut, and it sets off this cascade of symptoms within the body. So to to know that we've got to really support our immune system, be aware that these histamines do drive a lot of the symptoms that we have,
mm,
and how that is associated back to the foods that we're eating. So we've got to trace it all the way back.
mm,
If we're having allergic reactions, our gut is inflamed. We
mm,
are producing histamines. We know that the estrogen's gone down. We've got to go back to the food again. We've got to
mm.
go back to really understanding the symptoms of the body and personalizing that food list. But the key thing would be to go back to whole foods and avoid the processed stuff, because
Okay.
that is going to drive a lot of it.
Mm,
Our microbiome, those beautiful, wonderful little bugs that are keeping us alive in our gut, don't know what to do with chemicals, but they do know what to do with food, real
mm,
food.
mm.
So yeah, that
Yeah,
would be that
that's
would be the big one. To,
yeah, and just put that way, so it's so simply put, because I hear my clients, getting completely overwhelmed about trying to figure out what foods are histamine loaded and what isn't. And there's a lot of conflicting information out
yeah,
there. So
and
yeah,
yeah, so with the histamine foods, there is a massive big list, but again, it goes back to the individual. Not
yeah,
every histamine food is going to drive a reaction within everybody, but some
right.
might. So you've got to sort of figure out which
Which
ones
one?
are your problem, and
Mm,
take those out, because if you keep eating them, you're going to have this inflammation in the gut, and that
mm,
inflammatory response is going to drive these symptoms that you
yeah.
don't want.
Mm, mm,
So certainly do that, but the histamines are only part of the part of the picture as well.
yeah,
You know, why can't we process these things? What else is going on?
yeah.
So we go back to what else are we eating?
Yes.
What is the internal environment of the body like?
Mm,
Are we so stressed? The brain gut connection, there's that brain gut connection. Is that being driven by a lot of stresses in our life?
mm,
Stresses in our life are not just psychological, emotional stresses. We have internal stresses as well, and having going through menopause, perimenopause, that is a stress on our body. We've got to like appreciate that and really nourish our body through this time.
yes.
To think that we can eat the way we did through our 20s and 30s, and you know, still eat and live that way is it's we can't.
Yeah.
We're transitioning. Our whole body is transitioning into a new phase of life.
Mm,
And so we've got to adapt ourselves to that as well. So
yeah.
it can be overwhelming, yes, because we're looking
Yes.
just at one thing. We've got to actually piece the whole picture
I'll
back
put you together.
together again, yeah, and
Yeah.
look at the whole picture. Um,
Mm, yeah.
I
Very
hope
helpful.
that answers your question.
Yeah. Well, in that
Piece of
it's,
it.
you can take a simple approach, but also there's complexity there to really attend to it. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, both ends of the spectrum.
both ends of the scale. And for some people, just by adjusting histamine foods, they'll get their results. But if it's
Mm,
not working for you, you've got to dive deeper. You've got to look bigger.
yes.
You
Yeah.
know, the old iceberg analogy where we're
Yes.
only looking at the tip of the iceberg, but the underneath the water it's massive. Like
Yeah.
we need to understand that part as well
Mm,
to
yeah.
individualize it. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. One last question, because we've had such a wonderful
Oh, I
conversation.
love it.
Um, it's hard to keep track of all this, what's good for us, what's not good for us. Um, with ADHD, one of the things I keenly work on with people is, we start with sleep most of the time in our, you know,
Yeah.
foundations of, how do we live your best life? Well, it's not about getting things done. It's like, well, let's make executive functioning easier to access. Let's look at sleep. Um, so there's, you know, food, sleep, exercise, mental health, medications. Do you have any sort of, suggestions of an app, something that you might know of that helps people keep track?
Yeah. To be totally honest, I don't use apps in clinic with my clients. That's not to say that they would not be beautiful for your clients. I'm sure they really are. So I'm not. I have to say I'm not up to date on
No worries.
what apps might be
Yeah.
good way to go. I think with the people that I'm seeing, when it comes to creating a real um, holistic approach to your own body, because like I said, we don't operate in little pieces of our body. The body works in one whole system. So to look at it that way, then we go back to what we call is the health wheel, the wheel of health. And so we do have to look at what is our sleep. If we're not sleeping well, why not? Is it nutritional based? Is it stress based? Is it medications? Like what's going on? And really pick that to pieces. We do also have to look at exercise and movement. For some people, exercise is a dirty word, and so we call it movement, but there's
Yes.
lots of types of movement.
Or call it dance like I do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've got to know more about that. What's our lymphatic system doing? What's our breathing like? Our breath is so important on
So
so many
important.
levels. Like that's a whole nother
Yeah.
conversation. Um, what's our muscle strength like? Are we using our muscles and are they strong and are our muscles good quality? Because that's a key part of healthy aging and mitochondrial health and energy production and all the things. We look at the nutrition, we look at mindset, you know, hydration. Is our body mineralized? There's so many things we want to look at. And like you say, it can be overwhelming. Maybe an app's a good idea. I'm not sure of one, but I have this wonderful health wheel. So it's like a paper copy, I suppose.
Yeah.
I do probably say to my clients, maybe minimize some of that blue light time that we've got, blue screen time, because that in
Mm,
itself can be quite disruptive to our circadian rhythms of our body.
mm. Yeah.
And so maybe I try and get them away from a lot of the blue lights and get them
Mm.
back to good old fashioned paper copy. Here you go. And
Yes.
have we got all of these things in our life and how are we fitting it in? I break it down, I suppose, in an old
Mm,
fashioned way so we can build really strong foundational habits for people that then we're not relying on more stimulation from our phones or more stimulation from, little dings and things going
mm,
off,
mm.
distracting our brain. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably my approach with a
Yeah. And I'm one for working out what works for the individual. And
right,
just because it's a fancy digital app doesn't make it the best tool for everybody.
right.
Where it works for one person, it doesn't work for others. So I could really appreciate just even for someone who's very visual to have just that visual wheel, on their fridge or on the back of
Yeah,
their bathroom door is just that gentle reminder. This is me, and this is the things that are important for me to function well
yeah,
and happily and achieve the things that yeah, that I really hope to achieve.
Yeah. And sometimes that can come back to like little triggers that we set up for ourselves and
Mm,
little reminders. And it might be something as simple as, what color am I wearing today? I know that
yeah,
sounds a bit weird, but the
no, not to
colors
me.
that you wear, the colors that you wear can be really grounding and set
Absolutely.
your mood for the day.
Yeah.
Like I've got a ring on my finger, and if ever I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm like, my ring helps ground me.
Yeah.
Okay, Jodie, it's okay. Take a breath, get back to what actually matters.
Mm,
Close down all the noise that and the distractions that are taking your mind off task,
mm,
and go back. Focus on the breath and bring yourself
yes.
back and ground yourself in things that you really love. Maybe it's go outside and stand in the grass in the sunshine, because that just helps reground you again and get your
Yeah.
energy back to, vibrating it
Mm,
at a calm level rather than just
yes.
where we can't function. We want to ground ourselves. So
Mm,
set triggers up that help ground you and remind you to take a breath, to center yourself again, get back to yourself.
mm,
um, that can come in many different ways, whether it's a piece of jewelry to remind you, whether it's
yes.
a smell, maybe it's lighting a candle and just
Yeah.
having that just to ground you for a moment and
Mm,
just bring you back. But I suppose, yeah, I do like
yeah.
the paper. It's a bit old school.
Oh no, I'm yes, I love the paper too. And that it can be, it's so much more visual, and I'm looking at a big piece of paper I've got just beside my computer here, which has all the things that do that for me. So, and it's just passive, but it's a constant, gentle reminder rather than,
Right.
yeah, it's not hard work to connect with
Yeah.
those really important things, your values and
What's
um,
important.
needs in life. And yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And try not to be distracted by all the noise, because there's a lot of it. There's so
Yeah,
much
there
noise.
is a lot of
All
noise.
shiny bells and off we go. Oh, another side.
Well, Jodie, what a wonderful conversation we've had today. Thank you so much for sharing so much wisdom and your experience with us. What is a good way for people who want to, look deeper into their health, to contact you?
Yeah, well, I'll definitely share that with you, Caroline, to pop up on wherever you pop it up. My my business name is Cherish Natural Health. My name, I'm Jodie Studley. I work from my home office in Perth, in Innaloo, but I also do a lot of online consultations as well. So I work with people around Australia.
Fantastic.
I do have a booking link that I can share along with my website. I do have some
Fabulous.
social media handles if you want to jump on and see any of the stuff that I'm doing on social media, which I sort of posting things regularly just to keep engaged with people.
Yeah.
Um, and also my phone number, you can quite happily just give me a call, leave me a text message. I reach out to people. I get back to people. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like to be personal.
Yes, yes. Well, as you might gather, I much rather have a conversation than an email.
Yeah. Emails get lost in the email system. That's another overwhelm, isn't it? Like,
But there's no connection,
yeah,
you know. There's no,
yeah,
even though we're here through video, there's a connection, you know.
yeah, yeah,
So email just feels far too removed.
yeah. And I've really enjoyed our conversation too, Caroline. It's so nice, like you say, to have a face to face and know that the conversations are really valuating to
Mm,
people's lives as well. Gets people thinking
absolutely.
a little bit maybe outside of the box that they might be thinking in currently. Like, okay, there is other things out there, and to trust themselves. Go back to being
Absolutely.
grounded and listening, trying to
Mm,
block out all the noise and go back to what the foundations, what your body actually needs.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
such,
conversation like these, gem, yeah,
yeah,
golden.
beautiful. Thank you so much again, Jodie. And
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll talk again very soon.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Thank you.